Hey peeps, it's Marci Locke, locking down the truth, of course, on Marci Locke TV. So, couple things. First off, I'm just in a space of like total emotional roller coaster, like feeling emotions and pure, like obviously I live in pure authenticity. It's the only way I know how to live. And I'm actually in New York, my hotel, the New Yorker, where I've been for an event. And I know today was the intention was to have Garrett White on with me, who's my, he's been my master coach mentor. He's been my coach for over 6 years and is like a brother to me. People call us twins and actually think that we are really twins, but not from the same mother. So first off, I want to apologize for the fact that that was my word is my bond, and that is I totally 100% believe that everything I commit to, everything I speak, everything I do is always honest and authentic, and I feel kind of shitty that I spoke that he was going to be on, and we had some scheduling conflicts with speaking yesterday that pushed his whole schedule back and not getting on stage on the right time frame, and then not allowing us to pre-record as we were going to, and him having to catch a flight. So I could have been honestly like, oh well, fuck, I feel like there's this idea in my head that obviously a lot of people want to hear from Garrett White because he's awesome and amazing, and he has amazing content to share and amazing nuggets to share and real raw relevant, all those great things that I know this would be an epic show with him. But what I am choosing to not apologize for is that you get to hear from me instead, and owning my own truth and my own divine worth, knowing I am a divine goddess and that I have a message to share. And I feel like that's why I have this emotion coming from me and through me, and it is so perfect that this opportunity showed up to actually speak this message that's wanting to come through me and share my truth, because otherwise I would just be here wanting you to get the golden nuggets from Garrett and all that he teaches and does, which again, phenomenal, amazing, and we'll just get to do that another time. But if you're new to Marci Locke TV, I guess I'll jump back a little bit. First off, so this is my truth, and that I want to share with you is that you're here for Garrett. Then if that's all you were wanting to listen to, then I'd invite you to leave. But if you're someone who seeks truth, expansion, growth, you want balance, love, harmony, you want to live in your God or your goddess, being in your true divine self, and your journey is open to growth, then I invite you to stay, because I do feel like, fuck, my messages are powerful, and I have some intense content that I believe changes lives to a huge degree, and I've seen it do it for years through my programs, but there's a whole nother shift coming through me. And that's why I thought, wow, this is a perfect opportunity for me to get to share some of these thoughts and truths, or at least get to share the message of what Marci Locke TV is really about, because since it's been started and created, I've kind of had this, this coming from me that I get to now lead women in experiencing, finding, and remembering the truth of who they are to that divine goddess. Not just this mind-body transformation that I've done for years and taking people through, breaking through their shit and living an awesome life. There's a whole nother level of tapping into the true goddess that you are and dropping all stories and attachments completely and just living in that truth and that power, and that's what's really been coming from me. So I started off doing Warrior Woman Radio, really focusing on just like this message of goddesses, but the disconnect for me is that I 100% believe in co-creation. And like, I obviously have, most of my coaches are men. I have a few female coaches as well, but I have some amazing men, epic men that I learn from all the time, and they have such amazing gifts to share, just like Garrett and Christopher Stubbs and Jesse Elder. These are some of my personal coaches. And so I instead of just, obviously I'm passionate about a goddess revolution and a goddess experience and bringing a sisterhood together of women who truly want to live badass, like living in the ultimate life, abundance in everything, and living in tune with that goddess that you're designed to be. But as part of that, I believe I show up in my truth and my gifts and my greatness, and I love that I believe in this process of men showing up as epic men as well, and there being co-creation. So Marci Locke TV kind of came about that I want to share just the messages of truth from men and women that are living in that epic life space that do believe in having it all. that you're not saying what I think is the most jacked up perception and thought process is that we believe that one area of life can be great or one or two areas can be great, but we can't have it all. That there's always got to be something that's off, or we put our attention and focus on one area, and that starts to get better, but then our other areas fall apart. And the truth is that you are limitless possibility, that God gave you such capacity and power. When you tap into it and you simply choose to unleash that power, you are meant to experience this process, this experience of life in ultimate abundance in everything. You have the choice to experience epic relationships, amazing finances, spiritual alignment and connection, your business on fire and sharing your passion and gifts from you, and financial abundance beyond what you can think of. That there's plenty for everyone, but we all have the choice, and what it comes down to is a lot of us choose, and from our conditioning, our beliefs, and our stories, we choose shit, and we choose life is hard, or relationships are hard, or money isn't easy, or all this other shit. And I was there too, and I totally know what that feels like. And to go from that experience to the experience I am now, of living the epic life that I live, that's what I'm on fire to share to a higher degree, and to be able to open up. So maybe this opportunity has really come for me to share that maybe the story of me, like I interview other people, I might be interviewing myself here. I don't know, honestly, because how I roll is that I just let it come through me. Even every time I speak, I just get up on stage and just literally don't know what I'm going to say as I'm walking up there, and I just intend that God uses me as a tool. And that's part of being a goddess, is I'm so in tune with my truth, and I'm so in tune with who I am, or unattached to the judgment you might have on me or the mirror you're looking through, that I'm okay with whatever shows up, and I'm an open channel. So my thought process is, first, obviously, that Marci Lock TV is just that. It's about believing that you can have it all and creating that you have it all. And there's a process and a journey and a path and the tools to learn to do that, to have a balanced, awesome life in every area. But this is what Marci Lock TV is about. It's about women stepping fully into their goddess, men stepping fully into their God, and whatever process that looks like for you to go through. Obviously, I tried my passion in doing this. I'm not making money off of Marci Lock TV. I'm not making money off of Marci Lock app, which I put thousands and thousands, $20,000 into. But it's a way of giving truth to spread a revolution. It's a starting process for anybody. So you can go, if this is the first time you're joining us, if you go to marcilockapp.com, you can get all my past TV shows, radio shows, a bunch of my recipes from my program, to free workouts, to gym training tips, to nutrition tips, to mindset tools and breakthrough, and even some of my meditations, my visualizations, a whole ton of content on there that you can at least just start feeding yourself with the right focus to create a different experience. You can also go to mindbody90.com to get my free video series that really breaks into liberating yourself from the lies that you're living in and finding the truth of living an epic, awesome, amazing life. And if you are serious about moving further into a process to be able to create this, and you apply, then my assistant also will get you a little taste of the Marci Lock difference with a couple free workouts, coachings, and my webinar on getting off the roller coaster of weight loss. It really triggers what's the deep blocks and beliefs that helps you see that bigger perception and picture, which is epic. It's a great piece as well. So anyways, back to I'm filling more in my get that out of the way. Garrett's not on, but I have a fucking message, and I desire to share. And I'm even wearing my New York shirt. I don't know, you can really see because I was sitting down a little bit. So, and I've got this view. I'm looking out the window at Manhattan, in the room in the New Yorker. And so this is where it really starts. This has been my journey. So let's drop it back. And normally the question I ask people when they first are on my show, I only bring epic individuals on my show that are living in their truth and their divine genius and are standing as either a god or goddess in what they do and in their passion and purpose and their life being epic. And so what I normally ask is, who are you? And so if you don't know me and don't know my story, or, I'll share that, because it's such a massive difference from what I'm experiencing right now today. I grew up and started at a very young age with me taking on some belief systems that allowed me to experience a pretty hard, intense life. In fact, when people go through my program and they get into the the week where we dig into beliefs and getting clear on like what your beliefs are, the patterns, identities, behaviors that show up. I get messages all the time from people on my program that are like, oh my gosh, your story, I'm so sorry, it should be a book or a movie, that's crazy. Like, and I forget that that was really my experience because I've lived in this space now, and just to have pure gratitude and joy for all those past experiences that they allowed me to become who I am today. And so the one thing I want you to hear is that whatever you're experiencing, every single one of us has a story, and most of us, it's a story of shit. It's a hard story, and there's probably, I mean, and those people that maybe have experienced an easier childhood or had a great childhood and maybe had an abundance of money with their parents or whatever, they still have their own struggles and stories too of learning to create humility and create, you know, relationships operating correctly. Every single one of us has stories, belief systems, etc. That's been our process. But mine really started at 4 years old. I remember my mom complaining about her weight and just being so upset over gaining 5 pounds and saying, oh my gosh, I worked so hard, I can't believe I gained back 5 pounds. And at the time, I didn't understand what she meant. I didn't know what the body really, you know, what was the big deal. I didn't totally wrap my head around. All I knew is that my mother, who I loved dearly and who was like my world because I was 4, was unhappy. And I wanted her to be happy. I wanted to make her happy. And all I could tell was she was unhappy, and it had something to do with the body. So as I started to understand the mindset and dug back into these things, I understood where these belief systems came from. That was one of the first memories. And then I remember going, the next was her wanting to go walking outside and asking if I wanted to come. And I'm so excited and getting outside and like, yay! And I reach up to hold my mom's hand, and her reply was, oh, I can't hold your hand. I got to do this to burn calories. And my mother is amazing. Like, my mother is amazing. I love my sweet mother. She is such a kind spirit and such an example of Christ-like love and just embodies love. And we take on these, there's so many great things I learned from my parents as positive belief systems that, you know, and like a care for people and creating, serving and just all these things, but they are also, depending on the perception you take and the belief that you take on, can not serve you. And so in that moment, what I decided is not what my mother did to me or put on me. It was my creation that I saw and heard, oh, your body's so important. If I don't have a perfect body, I'm not good enough. And that was the beginning of a belief system and identity patterns becoming around perfectionism, and a belief system that wasn't going to serve me, that decision. So what I want you to hear is when you are born, you have this clean slate where you can literally experience anything. You don't know what anything's supposed to look like. You don't know what your body's supposed to look like, or money's supposed to be, or relationships are supposed to be. And it's a clean slate. And the moment you have an experience where you then make a decision based off that experience, that then creates your perception of how you see the world. And so for me, here, taking on this belief system that, you know, I had to have a perfect body to be loved, then what was created was the perception that I saw through the world through this eyes of that was going to validate me, and that I had to show up perfectly to be loved. That means I didn't really know who I was. I was always just trying to do what would make other people happy and show up perfectly. This just stemmed and started into a lot of belief systems. So, you know, fast forward years later, and what I'd done was just obsessed about my body pretty much my entire life. Starting at age 4, was just always aware that my body had to look a certain way. So what my process became was becoming anorexic and bulimic, trying every diet, trying every pill, trying every program, doing everything you can think of, starving. I mean, you name it, I tried it, I did it, and I never got the body. And I just want you to, like, let that soak in. Like, if it was such a huge focus and it was like my striving factor to be loved and accepted, why wouldn't I allow myself to have it? Like, why wouldn't I actually accomplish getting to that space? I mean, I worked out hours a day. I hardly ate anything. So was it willpower? Was it, like, why wouldn't I allow that? And that struggle, the reason I do a mind-body transformation program is because that was my mess, and that became my message. And it was through me becoming conscious of and shifting my belief systems and going internal to look at what is the beliefs that are going on behind the behaviors. Why would I sabotage? Why wouldn't I allow myself to get there? And it all really comes down to this, is that if my belief system is, I am not good enough, which I said I took on at 4. I'm not good enough unless it looks this way, unless I'm achieving this, unless you name it. If I'm not good enough unless I show up to be validated that I'm good enough from someone else, from something outside of me, I don't believe I'm worthy, I don't believe I'm good enough, I don't believe I'm deserving, then what happens is you will never allow yourself to have it. So that's why I never got the body. I never allowed myself to get the body of health, because deep down I believed I am not good enough. I am not worthy. I don't deserve this. So it didn't matter what I did, hours and hours of working out, starving myself, etc. I'd get close to my comfort zone and it didn't feel right. It felt anxious, or pain buttons or triggers or things that said, you know, all the years of struggling with my body meant there was a belief system that it was hard and that it didn't work. I mean, my dad had diabetes. He passed away when I was 15, and I saw like 10 people die. And from just the experience of as a young child, always seeing my dad in pain and having certain issues, like back then, they didn't have like a way of really living with diabetes safely, or you know, like easily. And so he was constantly had injuries and struggle and pain, and we grew up on a farm where we literally had to grow our own food to survive. So I remember him coming home and being in pain, and then forcing himself to go right out to the farm to milk the cows and for us to work in the gardens. And he fixed up motorcycles on the side for extra money, and just like, and then we'd go do service projects, and we'd go do the gardens of, you know, elderly people, and it was just like constant go, 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 and life is hard, and you have to survive. And so from seeing all this, my belief system also became that I didn't trust the body, that the body doesn't work or function, that you can't control it. So what happened is, even at a young age, I started getting ulcers and migraines and all sorts of issues with my body that would show up. By 19, and this is jumping ahead a bit, but at 19 I had a heart attack. At 24 I had breast cancer. Along with this, my perceptions about life became that the world was a scary place and unsafe. I had stalkers, a stalker at 11. I had several rape attempts, several kidnapping attempts. So these things, because these became my belief systems and my decisions that I made, and then the perception I was looking for, I was looking to prove them right. And there's 3 ways that you're always going to prove your beliefs right. And this is why it gets down to, it doesn't matter what actions you're doing on the surface. If you don't shift the root shit inside you of what you believe and what you deserve, and then how that comes out in the identity that you live in the patterns and behaviors, then it will never change for you. It just won't. You'll always prove yourself right, even if it doesn't make you happy. So there's 3 ways that you do this. You either attract it because you're looking for it. I was looking for the world to be unsafe so that I could keep myself safe. Crazy enough. Oh, if I look for unsafe things, then I'll be aware of unsafe things and I'll keep myself safe. But instead, what that meant is I literally attracted and looked for and found unsafe things. And I just found more evidence that the world was scary and unsafe, and to prove that right. Second way is you interpret what you see to prove that right. And in any situation, whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. If you're looking for the good, you'll find the good. Looking for the bad, you'll find the bad. If I was looking for, that's why for me this morning it was like, I could be pissed off about this and feel like an idiot or feel like a failure, feel like, you're going to be like, oh, well, that's Jackie, she advertised this and this and this. But I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Instead, what do I get to do here? And what do I get to create? But interpreting any situation, we interpret our beliefs to be right. So if you're believe that people don't like you, and you can't make friends, and you go into, an example I always use, you go into like a room of 100 people, the 2 people that maybe you're talking to, you'll attract to you, are the ones that you're gonna feel like or have an experience with that they don't like you. And maybe someone looks at you from across the room, this is the interpretation, and they're looking at you, maybe they think you're hot, but you interpret it as like, oh, they think I'm ugly, or they don't like me, or you choose the thought in your head that creates your experience and your reality. And the 3rd way is that you act out. If you believe that people don't like you, you probably just stay home anyways, because you don't feel like you fit in, and you feel judged, or you feel out of the loop, or you create in a situation holding yourself back and being outside of the party experience or whatnot. So from my experience, from all this, from these belief systems, I had a really intense childhood experience. It was all my creation. I see how I attracted that, even believing that I couldn't trust love. As my dad passed away, my mom, in her experience, she was really afraid of being alone, just her limiting beliefs that she experienced, and so she, instantly started dating and was gone. So I felt like I lost my mom and my dad, and my whole brothers and sisters were older and, like, always gone, and so here I was just, a 15-year-old, stuck at home, couldn't drive, and everyone was gone. And I worked 3 jobs to help support the family and do what I could do, and life just was hard. And so I created beliefs that I didn't trust love either. So what I attracted is so insecure about myself and who I am, and not knowing me, first off, because I've never asked who am I and what do I love and who do I want to be, because all I've done is been a perfectionist my entire life. That said I have to show up for everybody else to try to be loved and validated, to prove that I'm good enough, because I didn't believe I was good enough. And so in doing this process and having this experience, what it created for me was then I attracted to me and married. I got married at 21 and was literally attracted to me someone who was a huge, in a way, settle below me that made me feel safe. If I marry someone down here, then, and I'm this, beautiful, amazing person, they'll always love and appreciate me. And what I realized I said, this is, skipping forward a little bit, 7 years after marriage, 2 kids. I had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. I found out, I had a cheating husband and got divorced. And I recognized, as I started to become conscious, I take accountability for the words that I had going on in my head because of my belief systems. I literally used to say, if I'm the perfect mom and the perfect wife, he'll always love me, appreciate me, and never cheat on me. Now, did I force him to cheat on me? No. But I take responsibility that that is what I had inside me as my thoughts process, my worry, and my feelings exuding that energy out. That's what I was looking for to happen, and that's what I created happening and experiencing. So the point I want to make is that every one of us has some pretty horrific stories, or some and the story is either that you're looking for is either you're always looking to prove it right. And so I say, I want to ask you a question, is that, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Because if you really want to be happy, it comes down to you choosing to drop these belief systems and these stories and these identities and these patterns, all these things that have kept you in that comfort zone. And the thing that I get really on fire about is most of us are aware to a degree. Like, you're aware that you sabotage. You're aware that you don't go to the party if you don't believe people will like you. You're aware that you get guarded in relationships and push them away. You're aware that you suck at making money, or you don't believe there's enough money, or your finances are shit, or you're aware that, you every time you start trying to lose weight, you go sabotage. There's a certain degree of awareness that you have, but what I see most people have is they're like, I know that I do this, or I know that that's there, I know I want to change, or I know I need to change. We use this language saying that I'm not good enough in who I am, but I don't know how. And that's the deal, is that the reason you don't know what you don't know is because all you see is life through your perception in the box that you've been raised in, and your conditioning and what you've been looking for. And all you know is how to show up in the identity that you've been living in, because that's what feels safe. Even though most of the times it's creating shit. It's what you know. It's what you believe you deserve. It's comfortable even though it's really not comfortable. And so when my journey really, like, I started studying the mind actually when I was like 19 years old. I really desperate to create a different financial situation, having the years of my dad passed away and just like struggling our whole lives with money. I knew I wanted a different experience, and I was working 3-4 jobs at 19 years old, and I just started to study the mind. I started studying these. I got a marketing firm job. I moved to Alaska at 19 to run a marketing firm. This is how go entrepreneurial, high powered I desired to be. Is I was running this firm with 50 employees, and I was 19, and people thought I was probably 26 because the way that I acted and what I was doing. So I always had this very entrepreneurial spirit, and yet so I started studying the mind and reading books and how to win friends and influence people and Think and Grow Rich, and just starting to look for this expansion, this knowledge that I was seeking to have a different experience. And yeah, when it was all just books and understanding without really a path and a process to implement, and it was awareness of these things, but not really the tools of how exactly. Like, I didn't have any coaches in my life. It was just like taking in knowledge and taking in information and like trying to watch what people did, and I did okay. But really, what happened is, you know, there was still that belief that I wasn't good enough and I was insecure and I just wanted to be loved and I wanted to be validated and I wanted to be accepted. And so then I got married at 21, and like I said, after 7 years of marriage, found out I had the cheating husband. And I, at that time, having never been a waitress my entire life, starting at like 15, having 3-4 jobs, and you know, I did advanced schooling to go work in the hospital and do these other things to make more money at a young age even. Never been a waitress at 28 years old, feeling so broken and so lost. And my only thought process was, how do I take care of my little boys and still be a mom and still have an experience with them? Because being entrepreneurial, I didn't want to go get a job and be gone all day. I wanted to be there for my boys. And a lot of the belief system said, oh, being a mom has to look this way. It has to look like you stay at home with your kids or you're not good enough. You're a bad mom. So the only thing I could come up with at the time was becoming a waitress at night, staying with them all day and basically just, you know, doing the nighttime shift kind of a thing, and so that they were basically going to be sleeping most of the time I was gone. And I went and got a job at Olive Garden as a waitress, and this was just 6 years ago. And started doing that, and literally so much disconnect for me of like, this is not the life I thought I was going to live. This is not what I thought my experience would be. And realizing that if I wanted something different, the thing that was going in my head was, if you want something different, you get to do something different. And now, did I have tons of stories and validations that would validate, really, the experience that I was living, that I had it hard and that I had a cheating husband and, you know, all these body dysfunctions and blah, 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 all these things? I had lots of stories and lots of validation for life being shit. But I knew from what I had studied on the mind that if I wanted something different, I had to do something different. And I knew that I didn't want to stay in that experience. So this is the nugget I want you to get out of it, is that if you're not experiencing, if you don't have the results that you want in your life, your results are what's telling you the truth. The results that you have, the results don't have anything to do with your worth. I want to get clear on that. Not saying that you have to have a perfect body to have worth, or be in the space to have worth, but your results are what tells you the truth. Because you're going to validate with excuses and stories and reasons why you can't have certain things and look for that, but your results don't lie. The results in front of you tell you, and you can look at them and say, are these the same results I want? Am I experiencing the life that I want? What are my results? Do I have a body of health? What are my results in my body? What's my results in my spiritual connection? What are the results in my relationships? What are the results in my business and my finances? What are the results that you're experiencing? And I knew that the results were shit, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And where I really shifted with the body was actually when I became a trainer and started my own business before I ended up getting divorced, because I had literally the same thing showing up for me, where I was like fighting the body and fighting the body and fighting the body and trying hours a day working out and still pills and programs and, you know, just the up and down roller coaster all the time, and worked really hard to look really cute for my wedding. And I remember even working out before my wedding and doing the same thing and being like, it was working, and I was starting to shed weight and I was starting to, you know, feel good. And then it was like it was starting to not work, and I was starting to gain back, and I was like, and I was still putting the same amount of time and effort. And I was like, oh, what? I don't get it. Why? I'm doing the same things and it's not working anymore. Got by with getting married and looking hot for my wedding. I don't know what the hell I did. I'm sure I did lots of pills and starvation and whatever it took. And then ballooned up, because I got married. I got through the wedding and literally didn't know how to work with my body, and ballooned up. And I remember not only having not enough money for a dozen eggs, like starving with just our financial situation, but literally only being able to fit into sweats, and so embarrassed that I waited till like midnight to go to the grocery store, because I was so embarrassed and so because think about it, my belief system was, at the core, I have to have a perfect body to be loved. So that was saying, I am just a failure. I'm complete shit. I'm worthless. And how low is that to think that my only worth depended on my body and what my body was showing up as? And this is the shit that we've started to take on and believe and perceive from the time that we're little. I was 4. I was 4 years old when I took that shit on. And so I remember walking through the grocery store with my head down because I couldn't even look up to connect eye to eye with anyone. I felt so ashamed. And those are the feelings I remember when I think about the people that I get to shift from that prison and that pain to allowing them to experience the paradise and the freedom that I experience now, where my body is effortlessly in tune. And I am a ripped, shredded, lean, fat-burning machine because I'm in tune with God. I'm in tune with my tool. My belief system shifted, and that was the only reason I ever allowed myself to have the body. Because otherwise, I'd still be doing the same game, which I see people do for 30, 40, 50 years, played it their whole life where they fought their body and never gotten it. And I'm so grateful at that age I was able to shift it, because what happened was I started to ask myself the right questions. And so this is a key component, is that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions that you ask yourself. And so I remember thinking and struggling and feeling like so sick of this prison and saying, oh God, like, what else can I try? There has to be a better life than this. There's got to be a better way. Like, I was so done with fighting my body every day. 99% of my brain power, like, obsessed about working out and what I was going to eat and how I looked, and it was never good enough. And just feeling this such a disconnect and thinking there has to be a better way. Somebody has to have figured this out, that there's a better way. And I asked myself the question, I said, well, what else? If I've tried everything, what else can I try? And something whispered in my ear, you haven't tried education in the mind. Literally, remember, my left ear. It's like, no idea where that came from, but that message came to me, and I thought, it's true. I haven't ever said, how does my body work? How does this tool that God's given me work? How do I take care of it? How does it work with food? How does it work with exercise? Like, I gotta find tissues. I think I'm sitting right by the desk here. But I literally got to ask myself the question and instantly thought, wow, I have no idea how to work with my body. All I have ever done for how many years has been like, well, what's the next diet? What's the next pill? What's the next workout video? What's the next program? And this is the hamster wheel that we stay stuck on, the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And it never happens. Because you're living in the same belief systems. So really, my journey, when I hit that and I got to ask myself the right questions, I was like, wow, I realized it was like a moment of truth for me. I was either going to stop the bullshit and I got to stop like hating myself, and said I got to accept myself either fat and frustrated, feeling, not good, and be okay with that because I can't live this way anymore, or I get to do something about it for real. And I decided at that moment, if I didn't, I was wanting to understand my body and understand this tool that I'd fought my whole life. Instead of fighting it, I wanted to be at peace with it. And I couldn't even fathom that. I couldn't even fathom knowing how to be at peace with this tool, because all I knew my whole life was this thing doesn't work and it fights you and it's your enemy and food's your enemy and how you look is the determining factor of your worth. And so I dedicated my life. I said, I'm dedicating my life to understanding this and breaking through this, because there has to be a better way. And that was where my journey started, with understanding the body. But what I found was, as I found and learned and understood, and my body is already my ultimate fat-burning partner and machine, that it's designed to show up effortlessly in health. We're designed to be lean and healthy and thrive and have energy, and it's designed to work perfectly for me, and to actually has all these survival mechanisms already built within me to keep me safe and to make me thrive and have energy. But yet, all we've ever learned and done is how to work against it. And so it's trying to protect us and serve us and help us, and we're doing the things that are counteracting everything and making it hard. And so when I started to dig into the knowledge of the body and understanding the body, I was like, wow, this freedom. Not only did I shed and totally get lean and ripped and healthy, and I just had this passion to share it. And so I became a trainer and wanted to share with people this, how to work with the body. But what I experienced was seeing that still there was this massive disconnect for people in staying in the behaviors, and even for myself. I'm saying, like, for me, I recognize I'd like want to sabotage, and I'd still struggle and do that kind of little 5-pound up and down gain. Like, it was always still kind of this little battle, not near the same experience, but because I would still want to go to old associations or go to comfort, or I'd be triggered, or I'd want to sabotage. And it's like, I understood how to work with my body, and I knew how to, like, have better treats that didn't really sabotage, and just all these different things. I mean, there's tons of information out there. There's countless amounts of nutrition and fitness knowledge out there. There's tons of recipes of desserts that are better for you and blah, blah, blah. But why do we go there? And it was this, all of a sudden, again, all these inspirations and all these thoughts leading and guiding me to understand, like, why do people not allow themselves to get there, or even me, like, constantly fighting it, is because of what's going on inside me. It's because of the thoughts that come up, and then the feelings that makes me feel, and then it makes me want to reach out for comfort and run from what I'm really feeling. So even though at 19 I had started studying the mind, it was more surface level, and it was at that point when my ex and my former, seeing him through Christ's eyes, my former cheated on me, and I became a single mom with a 1- and a 4-year-old, and got to face my life and got to face what I was really experiencing in my life, that allowed me to go through this deep, deep journey and process of finding myself, this self-discovery process, and learning the tools of how to break down the root beliefs and identity patterns and the associations to food and different things that literally made life greater and greater and greater and greater and happier and healthier every day. That's all I really do. And most people want to, like, come into that, even are looking into going into my programs. They're like, all of a sudden there's like, well, there's a lot of fear we create on, we think, well, it has to look this way, or what if I fell, or what if this and that. And all it really is dropping all that bullshit. And just every day, the more tools you learn, and how your mind and body connects, really, your mind, body, heart, spirit is aligned, and how to use the power of your mind and the whatever you think and focus and feel on, you create, and the laws of the universe, how to put this all together and fill in those gaps to be the most amazing, powerful creator that you're designed to be. Life just gets easier every day, and it gets more effortless every day. Just like I know I'm younger every day because actually my cells regenerate anew every day. But in the old belief system, literally like 10, 15 years ago, I looked 10 years older than I do right now. Like now I look 10 years younger than I did 10 years ago because my belief system's changed. Same thing with the body, becoming an effortless fat-burning machine and lean and healthy, and the money becomes easy and effortless. Going from, so what happened at 6 years ago is that I became a waitress, like I had mentioned, and making $2 an hour, and this actually swings back around to Garrett because a friend had given me some sort of flyer to a seminar on being a mom and living your passion, and all I knew was like, I mean, I had a passion for the body. I discovered this breakthrough. I gained 50 pounds with my oldest after pregnancy and was ripped within 90 days, and 70 pounds with my youngest and was ripped within 90 days. I understood the body. I was still growing and understanding the mind. I was more like surface and like, you know, watch The Secret, but I still didn't live in abundance in my finances and all these other aspects of my life, but I understood the body, but still battled it to the degree that pain buttons would get triggered. I'd still want to sabotage, things like that. And so going through divorce and being on my own and getting to like break through all the shit that was coming up, I I knew I wanted something different than being a waitress and struggling and being away from my kids, even to have to go work at night and make $2 an hour was just like felt so degrading and felt so limiting and felt just like not the experience that I wanted. And so I went to this seminar, which was actually being held by Garrett White. And he was in that time was really working with a lot of women and women finding their purpose and was teaching a soul purpose intensive. And so going and hearing Garrett and hearing this just lit me on fire. Like, oh my gosh, it is possible. I can still be a mom. Like, it was the first time I had this perception that I can be a mom and do something different, that it didn't have to look a certain way, that I didn't just have to say I'm just a stay-at-home mom, because believe me, women, like, I'm not. It's an epic job. It's an epic experience. It's my one of the greatest gifts that I have, and one of my greatest responsibilities. And my children are my growth partners. So it's one of the greatest gifts I have to be growth partners with them, and to grow and learn from them, and them grow and learn from me, and that to be part of my experience. But at the time, I thought that was the only thing I could do and be, or I was a bad mom. And that society, like my mom and my family and friends, and just like society in general, would reject me because that was my perception of what it was supposed to look like. So hearing a different perception, different thought presented to me, that I could be a mom and I could actually share my passion and like gifts that I work with, feeling I wanted to share, just lit me on fire to go, wow, there's a different way. It's possible. And so he had presented that he was going to do a soul purpose seminar in an intensive, like a couple days intensive, and it cost, I don't even remember how much, but it was like the world to me. It was like, I mean, at the time, making, like asking me for $10 was like asking for my liver. And so I know it was somewhere in like the 1,000+ range. I couldn't fathom how that was possible. But I knew that it wasn't about the resources that I had right now. It was about my resourcefulness, going and finding, how do I make this possible? And again, learning, like what I learned is to ask myself questions and starting to say, well, what is possible? What can I do? What can I try? How do I get this? And most of us stay in the story of like, well, I don't have it right now. Well, it's not the right time. Oh, well, if it was the right time, and just show up. And instead of, if you want something and you are not taking action to go towards it and get it, this is what I want you to hear. You are in your bullshit stories. You're in your validations and your excuses. It's not just going to magically show up, because guess what? You're living in the belief system of what you believe you deserve. So until you do something different to create that experience and move forward in that action and move forward on that path and process, it will be the same thing. You might even go, okay, well, what can I do? And one option shuts you down, and then the next option shuts you down, and then you go, oh, I guess I can't do it. In Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, he talks about how 98 out of 100 people are controlled by the devil because they don't control their own mind. Because they don't control their own thoughts and their perceptions and question things and actually get clear on what's real. They just live based out of your subconscious, already predetermined beliefs and associations. And that 98 out of 100 people will stop trying after just 2 to 3 fails. 2 to 3 times of trying something, if it doesn't work, they stop and go, oh, I guess I can't do it. How many times did Edison, like, try for electricity? I don't even remember, like, beyond a huge amount. And what he said was, every single time he did it, he just learned the way not to do it, and that there must be another option out there. So I literally was like, how is this possible? What can I do? What can I try? And I'd already created my business and some DVDs, and was doing like little personal training as a mom on the side, or before I'd gotten divorced. And so I was like, what can I do? How can I start to share the knowledge that I have? And so I was literally serving at Olive Garden, and I'd have people be like, wow, you got some guns under those sleeves. And I was like, yeah, did you know that those breadsticks are like 12 grams of fat per breadstick and like 150 calories? And I'm like, if you really want to shed weight, I do have these DVDs. And I literally set out an intention to just sell as many of my DVDs and sell my knowledge the best that I could to create the exact amount of money that I needed. And I sold exactly enough to go to that seminar. And that seminar was a turning point in my life, because I put myself in the space to learn from someone who could share these different truths and perceptions with me that started me down the path of discovering my own tools, the things that I feel like God gifted me with to understand. And some of the tools that I still use what I teach is what I live, and using these tools every day is why I'm here. The last few weeks, just to go from that space where my whole life growing up we were so poor, the only really vacations we did was camping in the mountains, and then marrying, and same experience, really poor, and just struggle, hard, to now, like a couple years ago, I got a backpack through New Zealand to just film traveling workouts and how to eat and exercise. And now in just the last couple weeks, like I was on TV in San Diego, then I went to Carlsbad and spoke and got to play there for a couple days. Then I went to Laguna to play with friends for 2 days before we went to Havasupai to run like an adventure retreat and just play and literally teach people breakthrough and jump off cliffs and waterfalls, things that I would have never done in the past in my fear. And just have a good time. And then I flew straight here to New York to be in an event, and actually tomorrow I fly to Texas to be in another event and get to work with one of my business coaches before I go home and get to be with my boys and play with them, and then we pack up and we're actually moving to California. But just life is a totally different experience, getting to share my passion, my purpose, and live in my truth as a goddess, but I had to start somewhere. I had to start back in that place where I was like, I didn't have $2 to my name, let alone $10 to my name, let alone $1,000+ to my name to do a seminar and start learning and growing. And if that's all I saw, then I would still be in the same place. Because what's interesting is I created so within, like, after I started doing that, within just a few months, I only lasted as a waitress maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and I was just like, I can't do this. And I had to just say, I'm letting this go, and I'm choosing faith, and I'm moving forward, and I'm going to sell my DVDs, and I'm going to find ways to create money, and I'm going to find ways to, like, start sharing the knowledge that I have and my passion, my purpose to share this. And within a year, I was on TV and running my 90-day mind body transformation program in gyms, and sound all stuffy. Hang on. And through that process, though, through going through that, like, it shifted so fast because I started to fill in the gaps that were fighting against me, the belief systems, the identity patterns, and started to self-discover who I was and ask myself, well, who am I really? And part of that was dropping the mask that we live in and dropping those stories of what we think it has to look like. And this is part of living in the goddess, is that I'm so unattached to what you might think or believe about me. So unattached. Because I know I'm a divine daughter of God, and that means I'm worthy, and that means I'm good enough. I'm not just good enough, I'm amazing. And if someone is judging me or perceiving me or whatever that looks like for them, I'm just acting as a mirror for them as to what they're afraid of, what they wish they could be but aren't, or what scares them. And so, I mean, when we start to drop these masks, I want to kind of swing this around to, when we drop these masks, we release the attachments that have kept us in bondage, and we become free. If you think about, from the time we're little, we're conditioned to lie, basically, by not telling people the truth. Like, if someone says, how does this look? Like, or like, not hurt people's feelings, and and I'm not saying the intention of authenticity is to hurt people's feelings, but I'm saying we never get to speak freely what we think or feel or believe. And so then in the chaos of society and all that's going on, and like go, do, everything else, show up this way, perfectionist identity, have-tos, all these things, we're literally just have gotten to this place in life where we don't really know who we are, because we've never really asked ourselves the right questions as, who am I? And what do I want? And what does that look like? It's like we've just chosen to live in the identities that we took on that said, this is who I am, that I have to be that I have, for me to be validated and loved. Whether it be I'm the smart one, I'm the funny one, or I'm the good boy, or the bad one in the family, or I'm the black sheep, or whatever it is, we take on identities, and we take on being someone that we are showing up as that's not really what we're truly designed to be. Like the past me, I showed up as total perfectionist. In those DVDs that I first created, now in the past of my 90s would watch them, where it's like, oh my gosh, I was like, hi, I'm Marci, and this is how you lose weight, and this is how you lift, and this is how you eat, and I was just so conformed. was not free. I was not real. I was not open. I was not me. And through the experience of dropping the stories that it had to look a certain way to be a mom, that that you were going to judge me, or fear of judgment or other people's perceptions, and dropping that. It's like now then I'd go on TV and I'd be a crazy person, and literally people, it's like totally different experience. But that person, what I found was someone who's so happy. Like I love just being high energy, and I love like connecting with people and creating value, and just like being, I exude happy. I exude energy because I dropped all the stories and attachments that said it had to look a certain way or I was going to be judged and whatnot. And I feel like part of my genius, if you've experienced me in events, most people come into an event, they're like, whoa, she's crazy. She's like way out there and she's super high energy and she's all over the place. And I jump on people and we ass grab and I'm like, you signed a waiver, so you get to, you know, there's free ass grabs. Like, and just like, I just am very outgoing. And I didn't know that that person existed. I was holding in this person, not living in the truth of who I was, because I was so afraid of judgment. And that was a prison. That was not fun at all. And dropping that mask in the stories, I feel like part of my gifted genius I get to share is that when people see me being just so outgoing and fun and happy and having a blast, they're like, wow, she really doesn't care what people think of her. And I guess that means that it's okay for me to be me also. And when you experience being you and you allow yourself to actually show up for you and fill yourself with love and love who you are and experience the greatness of this life, you start to drop those stories that you don't give a fuck anymore. You just choose happy. You don't care what other people are going to think of you. And one of the tools that I use every single day still that I'd love to share with you is my 5 steps to overcome sabotage. 5 steps to overcome sabotage. Every time you become aware that you are in a feeling that is negative or a behavior that is negative, then what I instantly turn around and want to do is it's a red flag. It's like the moment that I feel pain, it's like instead of what we were conditioned to is go, oh my gosh, I feel pain, I'm going to run from this pain, I'm going to run and I'm going to go right to food, or I'm going to go to porn, or I'm going to sex, or I'm going to turn on the TV. We go to distracting and running from the pain, and we seek out comfort. And so what we do is we continue the same patterns. We stay in the same belief systems. We stay in the same comfort zone. Even if it looks like a different person, a different experience, it's the same, wrapped around the same thing you believe. So going internal and figuring out what are these root deep blocks that are keeping you there, that are creating that same experience, is the only way you get to shift this. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to change the thought, I'm going to think positive. Because you actually still believe the same shit that you're going to experience. So I see it as every time I feel a negative emotion, it's a red flag. It's an action signal. It's feedback. It's a gift. And that's why even today, I felt pain button. I felt triggered with Garrett not being able to be on the show. And I know it wasn't his intention with schedule shifting and whatnot, but it made me feel disrespected. It made me feel unloved. It made me feel, you know, like here my credibility was on the line, or like then I wasn't showing up honest and authentic to everyone else. But these are all stories I could create in my head and be like, oh, he doesn't respect me, and then I create that disconnect. Instead, I got to be authentic and be like, okay, awesome. Well, but this is the experience. This is what it is. It wasn't an intention, but this is what it looks like. And that's why at the beginning I felt like the best thing I could do is just be authentic and say, hey, sorry, he's not here. But I'm not going to apologize that it's just me, because I feel like I have some genius to share as well. But through getting clear with like, well, what am I feeling? And well, why am I feeling this way? Like, well, what do I really want to experience? I want to experience showing up for you. I want to experience that when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm committed, and I'm honest and authentic, and that's why I'm here with a host, or, you know, someone being to interview or not. And well, so what's my new belief or perception? My new belief or perception I got to create was that, you know, I have a genius to share and knowledge to share, and even though there's this thought process that, like, Garrett's so epic and amazing that a lot of people just want to show up and hear Garrett, that they might be disappointed that Garrett's not on. The new belief or perception is like, okay, that's okay. I'm open to that, you know, obviously he does have gifts and genius to share, but I'm open to knowing and understanding that I know my experience is different than his experience, and I have my own gifts and genius to share, and I am standing as the goddess. And I do feel this massive fire message coming from me that I get to share of what a true goddess looks like, and what the truth and reality of what you can experience for your life is. And as part of that, going back to that 5 steps, my new belief or perception was, I am a genius too. And I'm a goddess that has a message to share. And if someone is only on here for Garrett, then they can easily leave and turn it off. But that I have a deep message to share as well. And then my action is to still go ahead and do it and create that vibration, that feeling. I got to meditate and visualize and see myself just being a channel here, because I didn't know what I wanted to share. And some even thinks like, oh my gosh, this has been like an hour of like my story, but it is what it is. Like whatever I'm supposed to say, I believe I'm saying, and hopefully it's affecting you to hear what you need to hear or want to hear to assist you in moving forward in the blocks in your life. And I feel like where so many people are stuck is stuck in these shit stories and these excuses and validations. I'm telling you, I experience it too. I know what it's like to have disease. I know what it's like to have the body totally fucked up and not working for you. I know what it's like to be completely ass broke. I know what it's like to not trust love and not have relationships and to feel completely alone. I know what it's like to struggle completely spiritually out of alignment, feeling like mad at God that why would you do this to me? I know what all of that shit is like. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to give this message to you. And I wouldn't be able to share my journey and my experience with you of what took me from that shit to living in this space. And it started with a coach. It started with understanding how to ask myself questions and go within and go internal and break through this. So that now I'm in this space where I broke through and taught this mind-body transformation and seen so many lives shift so fast, just like my life has shifted so fast because of digging to the roots and using these core tools that create your life and live in body, mind, spirit, heart alignment with God and with the laws of the universe. But there was this level that still was missing. And that was me then going through this next journey of finding the true goddess within, finding my divine truth, knowing that it doesn't have to look a certain way, and that what I've been so aware of and has kind of blown my mind is that so many women and so many people are like not even close to being in the space of sharing their truth, of sharing, you know, what that experience really is as a goddess. Like they're how do I say it? Like as I've had people apply, most of them like aren't even inkling ready for goddess. It's like we get to go back and do my mind-body transformation to break through all these beliefs behind the behaviors and so that you're living literally in like life gets to be awesome in these amazing belief systems and experiencing that. But goddess is a whole other realm above that. And what I want you to hear is that it means, and this goes for guys as well, you don't need someone else to validate you or love you. Like that's been my growth process for the last several years of growing and understanding how to break through the shit, and even in creating epic relationships and creating epic everything, is that if I ever want validation coming from someone else, I want someone to tell me, to let me know that I'm important or I'm loved or I'm special or I'm pretty or anything, then I'm seeking validation from outside because I'm insecure about something inside myself. And what I get to do is I get to give myself the love and the validation. So a true goddess knows that she gets to stand in her power and her ability, knowing that if something's ever lacking in my life, I get to create it. That means even feeling validated and loved. I love myself. I validate myself. I don't need you to tell me that I'm awesome because I know I'm awesome. I don't need you to tell me that I'm hot because I know I'm hot. I don't need you to tell me that I'm good enough because I get to believe and prove to myself that I am good enough and know and remember that I'm good enough. And what I see women either do is fight this, like needing a man to support them or to make them feel loved or important, or women that are producers or women that are like stepping up into that masculine energy saying, you know, well, fuck that, I don't need a man. And that's not a peaceful experience either. And that's why I want to give this perception of co-creation. Men get to stand totally in their godhood, totally in their divine worth, feeling love, validated in who they are, perfect, whole, and complete, standing in their creation as a creator, not needing anything outside of them. And women get to do the same, and all relationships is to magnify our experience together, to go magnify the experiences of life together, not to need someone else to complete you, because you're already complete. You're already perfect. So whatever you're experiencing right now, even if you're struggling with your body, it doesn't mean that you're not perfect, whole, and complete. You're perfect, whole, and complete right now. But what you get to look at is what costs are you paying in your life and what experience are you having by living disconnected with your tool. That you're not able to be fully aligned in a clear channel to create and to be inspired and to produce in your business and your passion and to connect with your children or your spouse because you're fogged over. You're tired. You don't have the energy. You're craving shit foods and you're literally disconnected. It's about what kind of life experience you want and feeling good. So part of that too is becoming, like I've talked about before, becoming completely unattached. I'm so unattached to what you think about me because I know my truth and I know who I am. And so that means that, again, whatever perception you have of me, I'm there to be that trigger for you or to be that mirror for you, but I'm okay with you having whatever belief or perception you're having because you deserve to have that free will and you deserve to have that freedom of choice, and you were given by God this freedom of choice to experience life, free agency to experience life in whatever way you want. But this is the truth, is that God wants us all to be happy. Men are that they might have joy. He wants us to experience abundance in all things. Of course, like what do you want your children to experience? And if you don't have kids, what would you want your future children to experience? Or someone that you love, their, brother, sisters, kids, whatever, nieces, nephews. You want them to be happy. You want them to experience joy. You want them to have a great life. You don't want them to experience pain and hurt and sorrow and lack and limitation. But you can't force them or save them or give that to them because they are always in power of their choices. They're in power of the choice that they're going to make and the life that they're going to lead. And when you're trying to force something on someone else, again, the ego mind does not want to be forced, so it ends up sabotaging, just why I sabotage his body when I believed that I had to do something and it had to look that way and I had to have a perfect body to be loved. I didn't believe it. I didn't deserve it. So, of course, that was my experience. Your Heavenly Father is giving you a freedom of choice to come to this earth and experience whatever you want. And the fire in me and the passion in me now is to allow women to take it to that next level. Because honestly, I fought it for a long time. I was like, I love training guys. I have some of the most epic, amazing, high-end clients that are coaches and speakers and trainers that travel the world, and they teach thousands of people, and they're such a tool for good that I love teaching those kind of people to break through their shit so that they empower so many more. And I love calling guys on their shit, and I love just assisting them in that, giving them that perception of love for themselves to break free. So I love training guys. So really when it kept coming through me that I was meant to take this next calling to help women, assist women in finding their true goddess and living in tune with that truth of who they are, this full knowing that this power just exudes from you, magnifies from you to change those that you interact with and to be a tool for good and to live in passion and abundance in every aspect of your life. I literally kind of fought it. I'm like, I don't want to just speak that I train women. I obviously have men and women that go through my mind body breakthrough program and guys that change so huge and massively. I didn't want to start just saying, hey, women. But the goddess is I can't deny it. I tried to fight it. And probably because there's those old limiting beliefs to say, can I truly be the goddess? Can I truly lead women who want to be badass and want to have an epic, amazing life of co-creation and abundance in every realm? Can I truly be that? But it's just 6 years ago when I started my journey and thinking I want to share my knowledge about nutrition and fitness, and I was like, well, who am I? Who am I to share this knowledge? Someone's going to end up saying, you don't know enough. And that was a limiting belief that I had, that I didn't know enough. That shit's been gone for a long time because I know. I know I have the knowledge, and I know I have more and more knowledge every day that I'm learning and growing in and sharing, and that life is just growth and expansion. And all I'm sharing with you is my experience. Not claiming to be the ultimate expert on all things or even nutrition and fitness or whatever. I'm sharing my experience, my journey, my path, my process that took me from living in shit broken body, broken relationships, broken finances, broken spiritual connection, to living an epic, amazing, ideal life that only gets more amazing every single day. Living in my tool that is so energized and feels so good, and I'm so able to just connect and feel and even read people's energy and just be a tool in God's hands to know where I'm divinely guided and what I get to say or do with people, because the inspirations are right there and so clear as this channel. And having that energy to thrive all day and to seize life with my little boys and go experience the most amazing things, because I broke through those belief systems that I couldn't do that or couldn't have abundance of making over 6 figures a month versus that $2 an hour as a waitress, because I broke those belief systems. And then in this goddess, in this truth, that's just a reflection of the value that I'm creating for the world, and that allows me to create more good. Money is just that tool of production. There's a lot of belief shift I got to create there with money consciousness and growing up in such scarcity of growing our own food to survive. To be so spiritually aligned, to create epic, amazing relationships. Like, how this was just meant to be today, because how else do I express to you the possibilities unless I just share the truth of what my journey has been? It was shit. And now I just feel beyond gratitude every day. The overwhelming emotion of the gratitude of the amazing life that I live. And it just keeps getting greater and more easy. Because pain is just part of the process that I'm aware of, that assists me in looking at the feedback of, well, this is painful, so it means look at it. What's really going on here? And how do I get to create differently if I want something differently, and move forward to even greater and happier? And so again, it just gets easier, and it just gets happier, and it just gets healthier, and it just gets more abundant. And life, literally, you're gifted with this greatness of limitless possibility to be totally aligned, mind, body, heart, and spirit, to be a creator on this earth, and to do good, to share value, to grow and expand together. You are your greatest asset along with God. So unless you're investing in yourself and learning for you how to create better and do better and just be happy, not saying that you have to be better and do better to be loved and validated. You're already perfect. You're already loved. You're already validated. There is no, it's, do you love what you're experiencing? And how do you invest in yourself to just allow greater and greater and greater, if that's what you really want, if you don't want to be one of those people that stays in your shit stories. And so through the process of my mind body, people have gone to amazing belief systems and experiencing a great life, but I feel this call, this deeper knowledge that I've learned, to live up so much more in my truth, and so much more in a grand creation of this awesome life that I can experience in sharing this with so many people, to find true inner peace and balance and love and joy and harmony and everything that's awesome and amazing. I feel this call to teach women that it's their finally time to stand up and experience that and lead. I don't know what else I'm supposed to share with you today. I feel very at peace right now. I just felt like something had to come from me. And it feels a lot like I just shared a lot of my story. But with Marci Lock TV and me always interviewing other people, maybe that was perfect, so that you can understand why I do this. I do this so I can bring on epic people that are living in that truth, so you can see more examples and evidence that it is possible, and that you can do it true too, and hear people's stories of where they came from such hard experiences and the shit that they were into, now living in an epic experience in life and living in passion and purpose and living in their gifts and having greatness. And it's not just me telling you, there's evidence all around when you begin to look for it. And the only other thing I can tell you is, if you are not enjoying every aspect of your life, why? Why not give that to yourself? Why not give yourself the rockin' body of health to thrive, to connect with your spouse, friends, family, loved ones, kids? Why not be totally in tune to live in your truth? Why not be completely experiencing finances that are abundant to just be a tool of production, to do more good, and to allow yourself to experience the lifestyle that you want, and assist other people in the way that you want, and create the way that you want? And why wouldn't you be experiencing, sharing your passion, your purpose, and your business the way that you want, and spiritually aligned, and just feeling good? Life is about feeling good. And that takes loving yourself. And if you're not there, and you're not showing up in tune with that truth, that you're not attached to other people's judgment, that you are completely loved and validated in who you are by yourself, knowing you don't need anything outside of you. If you're not sharing your message, if you're not epically living, epically, that's my new word apparently, living a grand, amazeballs, fantastical, fabuloso, magnificent, whatever word you want to call it, it's awesome life, then I just hope that you hear the message that you can. And just start. Start somewhere. Start by following those people that live in the results that you want. And if you're a female who wants to find that goddess within you, I hope you go to my mindbody90.com and fill out an application, and that we can serve you in some way, whatever it looks like. Whether it be starting slowly with an at-home process, or a mastermind to start to break through those belief systems, or you might be ready for goddess. You might be one of the few that are already close to that space, ready to explode even more. But there's just start. You don't have to be great to start. You just got to start to eventually be great. As I did, the thing I wanted to mention before is when I created my 90-day mind-body transformation program, I used to run groups hands-on in gyms. I would take them to Olive Garden for a dining out experience, to learn to break through the associations and the connections to dining out and how to dine out successfully. And I'd take them back to the same Olive Garden when I did these hands-on groups, the same Olive Garden that I waitressed at. And there was always the same people there that I used to work with years before, stuck in the same stories. And I just felt such gratitude that I saw someone with the results that I wanted, and I had a perception shift of like, oh my gosh, it's possible. I can have that too. And dropping the stories that being a mom had to look a certain way, that life had to be a certain way, and dropping the belief systems that I didn't deserve it. I just had to start. It started with just that perception, and I feel like that's why I got to do this today, just to give you that perception of you can too. And I'm so blessed that I chose to take action on moving towards the path and the process to get here, because it's only been 6 years since I was a waitress making $2 an hour and became a single mom, and my life has been epic for years and years now, and every day it just gets greater. And I would love you to be able to say you truly are standing and living in your goddess, or your godhood if you're a man watching this, and experience an epic, awesome life. So that's my message for today. I feel very clear now. I feel like that was it. I hope that you join me again next week on Marci Lock TV. I will be interviewing someone and be able to download all the past shows if you want, the radios, get the opportunity to dig into the app and use several tools in the palm of your hands, get the video series on mindbody90.com, and again, apply if you want something different. And just know it's just a conversation of seeing what fits you, and if you're a fit, because I don't want to work with anybody that's not a fit for what I do anyways. But if you really do want to change it, then just start somewhere and move forward with your life. And I totally wish you the very best, most amazing, grand day that you choose to create. This is Marci Lock. My new power choice is yours. Choose your best life. Thanks for being with me and hearing my story. Lock it down.